And so I think we're live again. Today's going to be a really nice live stream. So just picking up from where we left off last time, if you are wondering what it is that you're looking at, I am working on my final project for Harvard's CS50. Now, Harvard CS50, you can go to, I think it's cs50.harvard.com/x. Harvard.com, or maybe it's Harvard edu. Yeah, so this is the place to take the course directly from them. You get a free certificate after you finish the course. Long story short, they have multiple courses. They have all of these courses here. And so I chose basically to do a couple of these. I already finished a few of these. So I did CS50 Python. I took CS50X, which is their main course. And now I'm finishing CS50 Web, which is basically a CS50 on steroids when it comes to full stack development. They really do teach you a lot of full stack stuff. Like, you basically come out of this as a very junior full stack developer, specifically using Django and React, JavaScript. So I'm finishing up on this course now. I'm working on the final project. Fine. So we left off last time discussing a bunch of stuff. The first thing is I'm doing my project here on Figma. So what I do is I design the whole project. This is going to be my whole final project. I'm not coding on the fly. I am working only on the stuff that I know I want to be working on and that is relevant to the project. And once I am done here on Figma, I go ahead and code. So last time we left off on this support feature. So basically what we have done so far, and we'll go into our app here. So what we've done so far is develop two apps within the bigger project. So our feedback here is a way for users to submit votes. And right now they can submit an unlimited amount of suggestions. I want to cap that at 3 at some point, but that's going to be version 2 of this app. This is all done already, and I just cleaned up a lot outside of the live stream the last few nights. I think it was 2 days without, I think I haven't live streamed in a few days. And I used that time to kind of clean everything up and just get rid of a bunch of stuff that was just, unclear. So I added here some text to make it more user friendly. In the help page here, we have like all these different tutorials that people can watch, and hopefully they'll be able to use our app without having to contact support. And I added here like this weird yellow flag here just to like make it a little bit more obvious that this is what they, what they should do. And then I also added ways for them to contact support, actually 3 ways. So you have this link here, and this one over here. You click on it and you're presented with this form. I've already tested this and it is working. What we want to do today is actually, so before we jump into that, I just want to say that over the weekend I managed to add a bunch of logic here. So I did work on the view here. So here's my actual server code in Python handling that form submission and what should be done when the form submits. Today specifically we want to do something new. This is something that the course does not teach, but I thought it'd be a nice thing to learn how to do, just to pick up, an additional skill along the way. So the goal here is that whenever we serve our users the app, we want to go through this thing called a CDN in Cloudflare. I'm not going to get into all the features. Cloudflare has a ton of. Let me just add that up here. So we want to do Cloudflare here between our user and our server, right? And what that will do is it'll make the user experience a lot better. Now, Cloudflare has something called a bucket, in which I don't actually have to host all the files on my website. Or on my app. I can just host many of the files directly on the CDN, and then they'll be available for users. There's a couple of benefits to this. The one that I'm really interested in is the fact that in theory a user could upload malicious code via file. He could upload a malicious file to my server and then wreck the server. That is totally possible. And so what I want to do is I never want to have the user submit any actual files to my server. I want all the files to be submitted to Cloudflare, and then Cloudflare will give me a URL, a link that I can save that into my server here into the database. And then whenever I need to access those files, I just go to that URL. But the file never made it to my website. That's what we're going to be doing today. So I already have opened up here a bit here. And hold on. Yeah, so here's my R2 storage. And they have a whole process to sign up, make a new account. There's a whole process just to get our R2 object storage activated. So that's the first step. I already did that. I already activated my R2 object storage. There's a couple of steps. You can just go on their website and follow what they tell you to do. You activate this feature. And I opened up like my 2 buckets. And at the moment, I just opened up a new bucket. And the way it works, think of a new bucket as like a new folder inside of this server. And this is where I'm going to dump where I want all the users to submit their data to. I actually don't know how to do this. I've never done it. So today we're going to do it together and do it for the first time. There's a lot of things going on here. I don't really understand everything, but I do have a bit of a tutorial that I found somewhere that I'm just following. I have it on different screens, so I'm not going to share it here. It's from ChatGPT, but yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and go through this and see how we can set that up. Now, our idea is that actually the user's front end, so their browser will actually connect directly to the Cloudflare bucket, upload the file there, and my server actually is never doing anything really. So all it's going to get is the one time that I submit that new form submission, I'm going to submit that as a JSON file, and that JSON file will include my URL for that file in Cloudflare. So my server actually is not really like I'm not using any server resources. It's actually a cheaper way to run this app by doing this. So let's go into this. I have like this what do you call it? I have this thing here. Hold on. Let's see. I lost it. Hold on. So actually really lost it. Yeah, okay. So so the first step I already did, I activated my bucket inside of Cloudflare, and I named it support screenshots. And then for the moment, I want to like activate something called like a developer. I think I want to be how your bucket can be accessed. Let's see here. So the public buckets is a feature that allows users to explore the contents of the R2 buckets directly to the internet. Okay. They're never public. This will always require exclusive user permission. Okay. Public buckets can be set up in one of 2 ways. Expose your bucket as a custom domain under a control. So I could probably sync it under my app. Or I could just, let's see. Or I can just go ahead and maybe Cloudflare manage some domain. Okay, caching, access control. So it has a lot of stuff here. Set permissions. I guess I'm going to leave it as private for now unless I need to change it. But I think right now it's set to private, even though I don't see that written anywhere here. I mean, it does say here when you decide that anyone can use the public objects to view objects. However, this is okay. Also, should not be available. Okay, bucket URL. Public R2 dev bucket URL for this is currently not allowed. Okay. I would assume this is where I need to upload my stuff once I allow access to that. And I'm just going to go ahead and create the API token. So my API token, I have to go into here, objects, go to API tokens in your Cloudflare. Let's see here. So I have API tokens. If I can find it. Yeah, apparently they also have like a database that you can hire them for. Streaming platform, images. I mean, they really have everything. Calls even. Yeah, so account API tokens. I don't have any right now. I'm going to create a new token here. Okay. Let's see if I have a R2. So I'm not really sure which one I should use here. I'm assuming create custom token. Maybe I'll just create a new custom token here. Give you API token and descriptive name. So that would be like support file upload. That's literally the only file upload I have there in support. Let me see here 1 second. I actually don't know what any of this stuff means, which is the whole point of adding this to my project. CS50 doesn't teach you how to do any of this stuff, but I figure I could probably figure it out. With a little bit of ChatGPT, a little bit of reading through documentation, it should work out. Let's see, create a custom token, zone. So this will be an account level. And then I want to do account. Account scope. What would be the scope for the specific bucket? Oh, for the specific bucket. So that would be support. So I don't see the buckets in here even. So I'm not really sure. So in the R2, maybe I'm in the wrong place here. Hold on. I'm going to go back to the R2 object storage overview. And like, I don't see any settings here. I do see this R2 with APIs. So maybe it's here. Set permissions, private bucket. Okay, it's already private. Copy your access ID and secret. Let's see, manage API tokens. Create an API token. So it should say, oh, here, token name is R2 token. And I want to create it. Admin read and write. So allows the ability to create, list, and delete buckets. That's not what we want. Allows the ability to read, write, and list objects in specific. I think this is what we want. And specific buckets only. I'm going to choose support screenshots. Define how long this token will stay active. I'm going to say 24 hours just because, you know, I'm probably going to want to change that for security every 24 hours. And I could probably write a script to do that for me. Client IP address filtering. So select IP addresses or ranges of IPs to filter. This filter limits the client IP addresses. I'm just asking the ChatGPT here what I should add there when setting. So I do think that you're allowed to use ChatGPT for this part of the homework because number one, it's not something the course teaches you. Number two, I'm not asking for a solution to a problem. I'm literally just integrating a new API that I've never seen before. So to me, ChatGPT is just helping me look through the documentation quicker. I still have to read, you know, they're not giving me the answer. They're just kind of walking me step by step, just like the documentation would. I think they're probably just loading it up here. They're not actually creating anything new here. When setting up an API token in Cloudflare and encountering the select IP addresses or ranges, this allows you to restrict which client IP addresses can use the API token. So my, I guess my first guess would be in production. Right now we're just developing this, so we're going to probably put whatever. My guess is that in production, we have to include the IP address for the server, and that's it. I think that's all we have to do. Add the public IP address of your backend. Yeah. Now that would probably just make it so that only my server can send and receive requests. So maybe I'll have one token for just looking at data, and that'll just be for the server. And then maybe I'll have an API for just uploading, and then maybe I'll make that available to all the users. That's what I think it's. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it blank for now, and I'm gonna create my API token. Create API token. R2 token was successfully created. So now that I did that, let's see what I have to do. So this is what I think I need. So I have my access ID and I have my secret. And this will reset in 24. Okay. Let's try that again. So I guess I can just copy paste this for now. Access key, secret access key. I'm not really sure, honestly. Set permissions. Private buckets are RDF for uploads. Public buckets expose files to anyone with the URL. Okay. Now, before I run this, I probably want to limit this so that if there's an error, it won't. All right, so it's saying that Cloudflare is not like AWS where they have like a rate limit. So that's something to think about. Maybe I should be using AWS just for that, you know? But I guess I could just do like notifications. Yeah, and then all right, I guess we'll figure that one out later. But let's see here. So R2 object storage. Yeah, so I have my token here. I want to just take a look at it, I guess. Let's see. No. Edit. Nope. API tokens. Let's see. Roll. Okay, so this will reset all those numbers, I guess. How do I actually... so they can be viewed in my profile. Hold on. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Yes, I'm gonna redo the token because I don't think I did it right. So in my overview, again, I have this overview here and I have my API thing here. I'm gonna say use R2 with APIs. Hold on. And I'm gonna type in here, I don't even know, is it Cloudflare API? No, that's not what I need. API, manage API tokens, create API token, object read and write, applied to a specific bucket. Okay. And I created the token. Hold on. This is a lot more complicated than I thought, but let's see if we're getting close to the solution here. And okay, so I have the API key, I have the tokens, I saved them here in my computer. So hopefully it'll work now. I'm just gonna go ahead and continue here with the instructions. Yeah, so this is even outside of the typical scope of CS50. So we're doing something that's fairly advanced. This definitely goes beyond CS50. But I think that's the whole point of a final project, right? You want to really kick it, you know, you really want to do it. And so again, this is all like, you go through a Cloudflare documentation. So we'll just do it via the Cloudflare documentation because it doesn't seem like the CS50 AI is going to help with this. Okay, so then we have, I guess we have all this stuff here. We have tutorials even. You could do a lot of things here. Voice notes app with auto transcription. I mean, Cloudflare. There's plenty of stuff to do. I don't really know, but you guys could take a look at that later. I guess for the moment now, I'm just following what ChatGPT is giving me here. And let's see. So we have set up the Cloudflare R2 bucket. I did all that. I created the bucket. I set the permissions, I believe. I have the API access. Now it looks like I need to set up something called CORS. So that's cross-origin resource sharing to allow file uploads from your front end. In the bucket settings, configure CORS with a rule like this. Let's try that. So let's go back to our bucket. And I got no idea. Data migration. Who knows? CORS, create bucket, API. Alright, so I have the token ready. How do I... What on earth, man? This is complicated. Bucket policy. Go to the bucket settings. Settings. Then we have a bucket policy, which I'm not really sure what that even is. Is it here? Is it this CORS policy? And if your bucket should allow public access, CORS rule. So add CORS policy. And allowed host, I guess, should be something like that. So again, we're gonna have to change that for production, but we could say it's something like that. And we could add this over here. Yes. And we could do something like this, I am assuming. Got it. So it's not like that. It's a lot of methods. And then we have this other one here. So it's like a dictionary of that. Origins. And this. Okay. How do we save that? Save. Oh, the policy is not valid. So it's not letting me. There seems to be a bunch of stuff here that I'm missing.
R2 public buckets is a feature that allows you expose the content of your buckets to the public so that anyone on the internet can access the bucket's content. R2 buckets by default are not accessible. They require permission from a user to enable public access to your buckets. In this video, I'll guide you on how you can set up public access for your R2 buckets. To get started, we recommend that you already have a bucket set up with some content uploaded. If you haven't done that yet, check out the Getting Started with R2 video in this series. There are two ways to set up public buckets. The first exposes your bucket as a Cloudflare managed subdomain, and the second exposes your bucket as a custom domain under your control. You can set up either or both of these options depending on your preference.
So we probably need that.
Let's see how to do it. Enabling managed content for your buckets will make the content of your bucket available to the public through an r2.dev Cloudflare subdomain. To set up public bucket through a Cloudflare managed subdomain, you need to do the following steps. First thing you need to do is log into your Cloudflare dashboard and navigate to the R2 section. Where you already have a bucket set up, click on the bucket and navigate to settings. In settings, go to the bucket access and select the allow access button. You will be prompted to enter the text allowed to continue. After doing this, the public bucket URL provided for you becomes accessible for anyone to view the objects in your bucket.
What about to upload?
The same process applies to disable public access. Select disallow access and enter the text disallow when prompted. Your bucket and its objects can no longer be accessed using the public bucket URL. The second way to have your bucket publicly accessible is to connect your bucket to a custom domain. This feature enables you to configure your bucket's firewall rules, caching, access controls, or bot management. To make this work, you need to go through the following steps. First, go to your R2 dashboard and select the bucket you want to add custom domain to. Next, go to the Settings tab, click on Domain Access. Select Connect Domain and enter the domain you want to use as your custom domain. It will take a few minutes for the status to change from initializing to active. Make sure you refresh to review the status updates. If the status has not changed...
All right, so I don't think this is so relevant to what we're trying to accomplish here. I do see that there's another video here. Here.
In this one, we're going to configure a way to manage and...
So this guy here has another tutorial. I don't know in terms of copyright for this video, so I'm gonna turn off the audio for now. But if you guys want to see it with me, just go to this link here. Just go to find this video online. I'm gonna mute it here just because I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Store your Django files. Now the files I'm referring to, of course, aren't your code. That you would manage through Git, not through what we're going to do here. The files I'm talking about are like user uploaded files, as in like a file field in your Django models or an image field in your Django models, where a user can just upload their file and boom, we need somewhere to store it. The other thing is called static files. These are things that your users are going to interact with, but also make your site a lot more functional. These are front-end things.
Hello to Shushan, welcome back. Yeah, I saw your website. I still didn't manage to reply to it, but I will make a short video about it to share my thoughts and next steps.
Like CSS, JavaScript, images, all of that stuff might actually overlap with your code files a little bit, but also you need a place to store it to where it's actually being served. So when your users go to your web application, they can actually interact with those files through the browser. So in the case of CSS, it makes it look cool like what we see on JangoProject.com. Of course, the big question is, where do we actually store this? Where do we actually store these static files or these media uploads?
All right, so he's starting a new project from scratch. I'm going to skip most of the stuff.
We'll do -- upgrade.
I'm not really sure what the heck did he install. Was it Django Cloudflare R2. Oh, that's just what he named his folder. Okay, fine. So I'm just gonna skip through a lot of the stuff. And Shushan, this might be a little bit very advanced. I mean, this is even very advanced for me. But the goal I'm trying to do here is to store my user files in a bucket on Cloudflare instead of storing them on my server. But this guy here, I think he's starting from scratch actually. Yeah, so I guess technically we already have all the way up to here done. So we have start yeah, so you see in the code here he's starting a new project. We already have a big project here.
Ready to go. Now it's just a matter of integrating things related to Cloudflare R2.
I see that he's going to be using these libraries. Now, this requirement.txt file, I still didn't look into that yet in the live stream, but this has to do with publishing the application onto your Docker container, most likely. And so he's making requirements.txt to tell the container what dependencies it needs to load before publishing the server over to AWS. Yeah, so that's sort of where we're headed here. To me, this is like, I just want to give a tip here. Like, this to me seems very, very advanced right now. But the truth is that it really only seems very advanced the first time you try doing it. You know, I'm still like figuring it out. It might take me a couple of days to figure it out, which is okay. I'm not really in a hurry, as you know. My only priority is to just do my 2 hours a day of coding. So I'm not in a hurry to resolve this, but I just want to understand. And I feel like even if it takes me a few days, once I understand it and I do it once, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, it's not going to be hard anymore. It'll be easy moving on, right? I could do it many times afterwards. And also I'll probably write for myself some notes on, you know, the key commands. And I do have a file. I've been keeping a file like that for a few years now. So I have one text file where I keep all of the top commands that I've learned along the way. And I feel like that's the way to do it. So let's get right into it. Again, this seems super complicated. I'm sure it's not really, like, and I feel like that's true for every CS homework I ever did, right? Every CS homework I tried, seemed impossible to finish. And here we are, you know.
We'll look at actually creating the things we need to inside of Cloudflare.
And again, I muted the video here just for copyright reasons.
Because we're going to create an R2 bucket, kind of like R2D2, but just the R2.
So he's creating the bucket here. I don't know if he's going to do anything different than what I did. Also, this video is from 5 months ago. I don't know if Cloudflare has actually updated their product since. It could be that what we're running is slightly different. Let's try it out. Oh, here he's logged in. Okay. Right, so he's just telling it. Yeah, here you could see you could specify for Cloudflare where you want your data to be hosted. Here I'm assuming he's in like California or something, so he's hosting his in Western North America. You could choose where do you want to host this, and obviously you probably want to do it closest to where most of your users are, or you could specify also different places. I'm not even sure if you could pay them additional fee and for them to host it in all of their locations. That way it doesn't really matter where your users are coming from. But I don't think you really need that unless you have like 1 million users. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the stuff that we're coding here, even though it's fairly simple what we're implementing here in terms of the infrastructure that we're going to be using to run it, you know, just one Cloudflare bucket. We're going to be probably using like one AWS server instance. That'll actually be way more than you need for your first 1 million users, believe it or not. Like, you really don't need that much in order to make a good app that serves a ton of people. Like, I know developers that have hundreds of thousands of users. And if you want to look him up, there's this guy, I think his name is Mark Liu. Look him up on YouTube. He talks about how he has a ton of users and he's still within the free tier of most of his hosting, whatever it is that it is that he pays for in terms of infrastructure. I feel like he only recently started paying, even after having a lot of users. So here he's just doing all this stuff. I don't know. I feel like we already did a lot of this. I find it, that's very interesting. So he's going to create these environment variables. I feel like this is something,
I'm going to set my bucket name in here, which in my case is CFE, right? And so I actually want to repeat this process a few different times.
I have a feeling he's going to be storing his secret keys in here, which is smart.
Well,
Because then he's not hard coding his secret keys onto really anywhere. It's all going to be sort of hidden in the environment.
okay.
That's the correct way of doing it. I just came back from last week. I will be putting a video about it. I keep talking about it, but I just came back from a Python Django meetup in Tel Aviv not too long ago, and they were talking about how this is the correct way of doing it.
In here, and one of them is going to be the access
See, the access token or
ID,
whatever, the access
or the
ID.
access key. Another one is going to be the secret key. And then the final one is going to be the actual bucket and endpoint. So these are the values that we need to know about that we can use both in development mode and in production. So if you're not familiar with .env, I will show you how to actually load it into your Django project. It's actually very straightforward, but these are
Yes, I think that's what the env is. I mean, this is more or less what I'm understanding. Look what he's setting up here. He's setting his secret keys here. So yeah, the .env file, I'm assuming in this particular case, and this is bringing I'm just kind of associating random things that I've heard along the way. The environment variables are these variables here, and he's putting them inside of an .env file. This is where he wants to put all of his secret keys for, I'm assuming, for most of, I mean, not just for Cloudflare. I'm sure he could put here whatever he wants. AWS, he could put here any secret key that he needs to. And then I'm not exactly 100% sure how this is working. This eventually becomes part of like the operating system of the server bucket, which you deploy to the internet. And so when you're deploying your server in your Django, the internet and I guess to a certain degree, really your server is just storing your these files, right? These, whatever, I got locked out of here, but these files on the right, like your logic in your server, it's storing your HTML and whatnot, it stores that. But the environment variables are sort of like, they become part of the operating system, I believe. This is the way I'm understanding it. Again, I'm not claiming to understand it 100%. With my limited understanding, I'm trying to understand enough just to implement it. And so actually this tutorial, I'm already recommending it for you guys. I'm recommending it for myself right now. I kind of want to just kind of stop the live stream soon and just sit on this tutorial and work it out. Because I've actually been trying to learn about how to use environment variables since I heard about it in the meetup. So that's already one additional skill I want to pick up, and also how to actually implement Cloudflare. So that's 2 skills in 1 tutorial. So you don't need to deploy env. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I do think that we'll get to that when we get to that. That's going to be part of this live stream here, to watch the last lecture of CS50w and to implement what they're talking about there, which is like how to use Docker. And Docker has a Kubernetes. I don't know if they get into Kubernetes, but definitely Docker. So to answer the question here, you don't need to deploy env, I guess. I don't think that it's that you're deploying env. It's more that env is part of what Docker uses to build the container to deploy. So again, we're getting into the field of DevOps here, which I have no experience in. The cool thing about DevOps is that it combines IT with coding, which I really like that mix. So again, this is something we could take a course in the future. Maybe I'll do it in the live here, just taking a DevOps course. There's a lot to learn there. I mean, there's people who are getting hired just to do DevOps at companies. That's a discipline in and of itself. Again, I'm just trying to do the minimum just to be able to publish my app to the website, to online, to a server, and be able to submit that as part of my homework and be able to at least get a couple users. You know, my goal right now is to get at least my first 10 users once this gets published. So if I can do those 3 things, get my 10 users, publish it to online in a safe way, in a way that actually works and it's safe and it doesn't get hacked or anything like that, and turn it in as a homework. If I check those 3 things, I feel like I succeeded with this project. I'm ready to move on to my next course, which I still haven't figured out which one's going to be. I definitely got CS50 AI in the to-do list. I have Princeton's Data Structures and Algorithms course in the to-do list. I'm still in the middle of David Bomball's networking CCNA course. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of courses to take, right? And most likely a dedicated DevOps course. I think IBM has one through Coursera, or this lady online called Coding with Nana, I believe. She's like this Austrian coder. She also has a course. I guess it's gonna depend on, really at this point, the price. I don't know. Like, I think Coursera just pay for a membership and then you get access to all the courses. So Princeton and the IBM course, I think they're both through Coursera. So that's already one reason why I would do it through them. Fine. So let's keep going here. I don't know if we should keep, again, I think I'm feeling very inclined to stop the stream here at this point. We're already 45 minutes into it. Maybe we should just do Q&A for now. I will probably go through this whole tutorial on my own, especially because I'm going to be putting in secret keys there. I probably shouldn't be live streaming my secret keys. And then when we come back for the next live stream, I think I just do like the logic, because I'm still missing a lot of the logic for this. Like right now, I only managed to actually just submit my form here. So once I click support ticket, it's actually, I've managed to make it so that it goes to the database of my Django application. It goes to the database and it saves a new object. And I've already declared that object over here, a support request. So I still got to build a lot of this stuff out, you know, like I still got to build, once somebody submits a new ticket, I do want to load their page and show them that they do have an open ticket. And that's just like good customer experience, you know, like the second they submit it, they already see that there's a way for them to keep track of it. And I still need to implement this for me as a developer to be able to go through all my tickets and mark them as done and contact users as necessary, that sort of thing. So yeah, also interesting. It's interesting. I also don't fully understand Ev. I just use this by Control plus C plus V method. What do you mean by that? What's the Control C Control V method? What does that do? I'm not familiar with that. And Shushan, you're working on a website as well. So yeah, wishing you best of luck. I think today was a short one. I'll log off here, going back to do this whole tutorial. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to just continue working again. We still have a lot of the app to develop. But I feel like this is a key point, because once we figure this out, I'm going to be using this bucket and this Cloudflare up and down, you know, this whole Cloudflare thing. I'm going to be using it a lot. I'm going to be using it not just for, again, I'm going to be using it for a lot of things. This is just one example of that. This is why I wanted to figure out right now, so that once I understand how to use it, I can use it for the other features. Just a queue. What did you say? I'm not understanding here. Just a queue. How did you do UI UX? Just a question. How to do UI UX? Okay, I can answer that here. So I'm gonna take you quickly how I learned UI UX. I don't know if you're still watching, but hopefully you can pick it up next time. Take a look at this here for a second. So here's Udemy. I would say around 10 years ago, maybe a little bit. Yeah, I think it was around maybe 9 years ago, something like 8 years ago, between 8 and 10 years ago. I was working as a freelance videographer, and I wanted to market my business. And the best way I don't know why, I really don't know. I just ended up convincing myself that I need to implement Google Ads. Now, if you're familiar with Google Ads, you just search for something on Google, and the first few results, usually those are ads. So there's a whole platform on how to do it. I bought this course here, the Ultimate Google Ads Training by Isaac Radonsky. Highly, highly recommended. This guy is, he's not a joke. He's totally legit. I bought this course again 10 years ago, and as you can see, he's been updating it a few times. He updated it already a few times, and I still have access to it. Like, it's all we get free updates here from him. So I did the course, and then I understood that my landing page sucked, meaning like the flow, my user experience sucked. So then I took this other one, landing page design and conversion rate optimization. This was, I would say, my introduction to professional UX UI design. Once I took so basically I took 2 of his courses. This one just teaches you basically how to very clearly convince the customer that they should contact you or buy your product or whatever. And like once during that time, I was also kind of like designing WordPress websites on the side. So I managed to get a lot of practice out of it and implement what I was learning in that course to my customers. And I've never actually shown the analytics, but I did put in, I think I made like if I remember correctly, I think it was a 4-to-1. So for every dollar that I put into Google Ads, I made $4 off of it over the course of 2 years. Eventually, for other reasons that have nothing to do with design or coding or anything like that, for other personal reasons, I had to stop working at that business, which was my own business. I mean, I guess I could share a little bit with you. You guys, it's not a secret. I live in Israel, and we are very I was working in a field, how do you say, in a industry which was it relies heavily on tourism. And whenever something happens, you know, whether it's a war, whether it was Corona, I think it was Corona during those days. So like, I just couldn't do that business anymore because it was Corona. There was no job, there was no work. So what was the point of paying for the ads? Anyhow, this is how I would recommend getting into UI UX. Take this course, Landing Page Design and Optimization, on Udemy by Isaac Rodansky. And if you're really interested, I would also take the Google Ads. But again, that's already a business in and of itself, to make a landing page with a solid product and to market it on Google Ads. That's already a business, like a service that you could offer for people. I offered it very lightly for other people. Google Ads is extremely complicated. I mean, it's almost like learning a coding language. It really is very complicated, and the course is quite long. I don't remember right now. I guess we could click on it here. Like, how long is this? Overview. Yeah, so the course is 35 hours. You can imagine. So it's a huge course, right? And I don't even think I finished it, honestly. Look, like there's still lessons to take. But he talks really from the very basics of everything. I mean, it's a really nice course. Then from that, I just have a very good friend who's a professional UI UX designer at a tech company, and so he introduced me to Figma when it first came out a couple years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And so like here, I just use this to design my websites, you know, my user experience. Like this is let me see here, like whatever it is. I will be getting more into this, but here I design all my pages, and that's it. Like from here on, it's just practice, really. So I recommend you guys, if you just, I think UX UI is very essential, especially through the lens of this guy of Isaac, through this guy, because his goal really is to make things very simple and very to the point and very clear how to explain things. Like there is a relationship between your H1, like your header, your H1, and the P that comes under that, if you know what I mean. Like, let me see here. Let me just go to the Udemy website. Yeah, like there's a relationship here. Let me just take a look at this. There's a relationship between your H1, your P, your button, and the picture that you show. And I think he spends like 2 or 3 lectures just explaining what that relationship is. So that's something to pick up, I would recommend. All right, so I'm going to log off for now. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining. And see you in the next live stream. Wishing you all the best, Shushan, and everyone else who was watching. And again, if you guys have any comments or any questions, just drop me a message on this video here. Maybe even drop your email address, and we can be in touch that way. All the best, guys.